Hola, yo soy Kim. Hi, I'm Kim. Hola, me llamo Kim. Hi, I'm Kim. So I know that I have done some things that I've released on my Patreon, but I have every intention of releasing this publicly. So I'm going to be talking from the standpoint of like, this is the first time that I have ever vlogged, if you will. But today is December 16th. It is 3:51 p.m. It's a Saturday. And a lot has been going on. I really have been away for a while. And I'm starting to get a lot of questions about how I am and what's going on because I've been kind of quiet and I moved. So I'm in a new country and getting settled and acclimated, and stuff has been very interesting. It's been a very interesting journey. So I am back in Mexico, and I have mixed feelings about it, but I don't really have a choice in it. So it's kind of like making the best of a situation, if I'm honest. But I'm happy to be here, and also it's been a really tough adjustment period being back. So I'm also processing that. In this time that I've been away, I have also gotten some new letters behind my name. And that's been interesting to process as well. Today, I feel okay to talk about some of it, but I haven't been over the past week that I've been here. This past week feels like a month. Like it really feels like I have expended a lot of energy, and that energy is really almost to just exist. It's not even to do anything in particular, just to be able to exist. So I have come to grips with a few things. I've on my TikTok said publicly that I'm back on my anti-anxiety medication, and that has been very interesting because I find myself very numb many days, and that's weird because over the past year, when I wasn't on my medication, I was feeling things so deeply. So I've gone from this very like deep feeling, whether it be happy, sad, whatever, just like the ability to feel deeply. I've gone from that to like feeling nothing. And that is weird to me now that I understand the difference. I've been trying to think through that, like, has did I feel this way the first time that I was on the medication? And I don't recall, but I also know that I just started learning how to feel when I was turned 40. So I'm 42. Like, I was just learning. So me on the medication before and not feeling it wouldn't have felt any different because that was kind of my baseline. But now I know a different existence. So now it's weird to like go back. So I don't know what that looks like, and I may have to change medication, but I also don't really want to be on medication. So it's like I'm not just trying to be hopping around to all types of different medications. Just, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to be on the medication I'm on. So, which leads me to the letters behind my name. So when I left the US, I left with anxiety, depression. I also knew that I had PTSD. I now have come into an understanding that I actually have CPTSD, which is complex PTSD, which basically means that the PTSD is not linked to one particular instant. And for the sake of defining what these letters are, so PTSD is post traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD is complex post traumatic stress disorder. So, usually when we hear things like PTSD, a lot of times people think about war and they think about people who were in the military. So that's an instance that is causing this post-traumatic stress disorder. With complex PTSD, it is not just one instance, it is a conglomeration of things, a life, things that can happen continuously, and it creates this complex PTSD, which is complex. So I have come to that understanding that my PTSD is complex PTSD because I've also had the opportunity to really think through the things that I've put on a shelf in a box over 4 decades of my life in order to be able to continue to survive. I have said many times in different places and spaces that I was a master compartmentalizer. I, again, did not know how to feel, so I would, when things felt like I might have to exercise this feel muscle, I would just be like, nope, ain't got time to do that. Put it in the box, put it on the shelf. And I've done that for 4 decades. And now I'm realizing that all those things that were boxed up were a whole bunch of traumas. And they're all falling out of the box at the same time. And that's a lot. It's a lot to process. So I'm unpacking that and trying to process that, and also dealing with the other letters that are behind my name. So I recently just got on TikTok. But I think this probably started, I think it actually started on Facebook. So I am, for some reason, drawn to this world of memes and these quote memes and like all that kind of stuff from different places. And the way the algorithm works is if you interact with it, then it'll give you more of it. So there are a couple people that I'm friends with on Facebook, and they would share these different types of memes about certain things. And I'm like, wow, I really relate to that. One of those things is ADHD. And it's wild because, I'm a teacher and I've seen ADHD in action. And I just never thought of myself as someone who had any of those tendencies, but also usually the ADHD that I was looking at was in boys, and ADHD presents differently in females than it does in males. So I started like really interacting with that type of content, and I really felt like I started to see myself in these behaviors. So I'm kind of processing that because there are very, very clear things, such as I went out to dinner last night and I was talking with my friends, and My one friend was talking about a time that they had taken Adderall, and it had the opposite effect for them, that their brain was like just bouncing all over the place, just all over the place, all over the place, all over the place. And they were like, normally my brain isn't like that. And I was like, really? Because that is my everyday. It be popping up in this brain, like, and that's why it's so weird for me to like not be able to feel, for me to not, for my brain to be quiet. Like, that's weird because it hasn't been. So I was like, that's not how brains work. Like, everybody brain don't do that. You mean people's brains be quiet? Like, what? That's wild to me because that's not my reality. And I feel like I've always done maybe so well at managing it or something, but um, it's interesting to like actually accept that my brain is different than what I thought it was, or that trauma over this time has changed my brain, and therefore these things are manifesting later in life. So I started following these creators over on TikTok who talk about being diagnosed as an adult, and how there are like these complex feelings of being relieved, but then also like being relieved and being seen and understood. But then there's also this grief of, how did nobody see this before? And how my life may have been so much easier if someone had seen that there was other stuff going on. But then also here comes the trauma intersection of it, that there are things that people do, that's called masking, and you mask in order to seem normal. And that is definitely something that I had to do, is watch behaviors in order to make sure I was behaving accordingly so that I wouldn't get in trouble. So it's weird because I feel like maybe I don't even know like my real self, because the self that I had to present was in order to stay safe, whether that was in my home, whether that was in a relationship, whether that was in corporate America, or in education, right? If we don't want to accept that education as a business. But I wondered, like, who the real me is, like under and out of all that. Like, I don't know. And here I am at 42, almost 43, trying to figure that out. So we have what so far? Anxiety, we have depression, we have CPTSD, we have ADHD. So then there is neurodivergence, right? And I use the term neurodivergence. Neurodivergence is the opposite, for lack of a better way to put it, of a neurotypical. So neurotypical would be the way that our brain operates, free from external difference, free from difference. Let's just say that whatever the quote unquote standard is, whoever created this standard, whatever bodies were studied in this standard, whatever, but the brain untouched, perfect brain, neurotypical. And then there's neurodivergence. So those are divergences or differences from that typical. So I really, in this trauma understanding and quest to understand trauma, how it has manifested in children, myself, and all of that, it led me to this concept of neurodivergence. And I started seeing that I have a lot of neurodivergent type of tendencies, if you will. Just small things in the way that I look at the world, or the way that I process information, or for instance, I am sensitive to light, right? I cannot do bright fluorescent light. It makes me angry inside. I feel like I'm being tortured I don't like it. So in my home, I've never used like bright fluorescent lights. I always have ambient light. I always have lamps. And even the lamp is on a warm setting. I can't do that cool setting light. Like it really just does something to me. So I realized in my research that that is a neurodivergent tendency. Same with sound. I'm an auditory processor and I get very frustrated if I'm talking to someone and I can't hear them because there's so much other sounds going on. Like I get very, again, frustrated. Like I need to be able to hear. Like, and a part of that is because I'm blind as fuck. So I can't see, right? So sound is a sense that I really rely on because my eyesight is trash. So I started seeing that and I started noticing that and paying attention to that. When I had moved to Colombia, when I first got there, I was staying in an apartment and there was sound, like jungle noises outside from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. every single night, Sunday through Sunday. And I felt like I was being tortured. And they do. They torture people with sound and they torture people with light. Like these are things that I'm really, really sensitive to. So I started embracing that and processing that and understanding that. And again, following creators who are discussing what that journey looks like, sounds like, feels like for them. And in that, I had a friend suggest to me that I read a book. And this just happened on Sunday. So they said, have you ever read Howie Mandel's book? And I said, no, but that actually might be a good read for me. So I have recorded a podcast episode about hating bathrooms. As long as I can remember, bathrooms have never been considered a safe place for me. And in that podcast episode, I talk a little bit about a lot of the physical abuse that I endured as a child happened in the bathroom. So a bathroom often feels like a trap to me. And it's hard because a bathroom is something that you have to interact with at least once a day, but probably multiple times a day in different ways. And it has always been tough for me. So I open up Audible because I don't know if y'all know this about me. I don't like to read like actual reading, turning pages. Like I rather audio. I'm an auditory processor. So I rather an audio book. I will read and listen at the same time, but like just to read is hard for me. And if I am just reading, I usually will like read out loud because I need to hear it to retain it. So I don't really like just read books, but I do audiobooks. So I pull up the sample to Howie Mandel's book, and the sample is the introduction. I now know, so it's maybe like 5.5, 6 minutes, and just bust out crying. Just bust out crying, like to the depths of my soul. So if you know anything about Howie Mandel, he is known to be a germaphobe and known to have OCD. And OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. And in that introduction, he talks about when he was outed, if you will, to the world on a Howard Stern interview, that he had OCD. Like, he finally said it out loud and it became this thing that Howie Mandel has OCD. As a matter of fact, the name of his book is Here's the Deal, Don't Touch Me, right? So he talks about in this book how this condition of OCD really has run his life. And as I'm listening to him talk, I'm thinking about how many things I do because of bathrooms, which then extends to germs. Like, how many things I do to avoid interaction or to avoid having to be in the space or to avoid touching something, or like it controls my life. And I really didn't realize it. And I talked to my therapist about it this week, and we did an exercise. So she does EMDR, which is eye motion desensitivity training. I don't know what the R stands for. But it's basically like a thing where some people kind of liken it to hypnosis, kind of, but it's like what you're doing is with PTSD and things of that sort. People who have experienced some type of trauma, your brain gets stuck in that space. So your brain, if you think about it, your brain feels like it's reliving it now as opposed to it being a past event. And it creates hormonal imbalance, all type of stuff. So with EMDR, it's supposed to take you there and then process it so that you can release some of it, basically. I don't know how to really explain it. YouTube it, look it up. Somebody talked about it. But anyway, we did that for the bathroom because I told her, I was like, I think I have OCD. And I think that I see myself in, as I'm reading this book, and I realize how much this is controlling my life. And that is really interesting because one cannot understand unless they have something similar. Like, it's not, I don't even know how to explain. Like, it's not just like, oh, I don't like it. It's like my body shuts down and I have to will myself into the space. And sometimes I have to negotiate with myself of saying things like, it's okay, you're only going to be in here for 5.5 minutes. Like, we're going to set a timer, like blah, 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 blah. Like, it's a whole thing that I have to do, which is kind of like I think that's the compulsion part, of like you have to do almost like a routine in order to feel safe. So for instance, when I was living in Medellin, I developed a shower routine that like allowed me to feel safe within that environment. One of the things that I did was I used my lights that I had. So I used a particular light. So like I had the green light or the blue light. And then when I was leaving, I started kind of going over to purple. I had my incense. I had my diffuser. I had eucalyptus in the shower. Like, it was a whole thing that I did. And I don't think I realized how much that stabilized me. So it's like I'm also trying to figure out what that, see, even while I'm sitting here talking about it, like I'm wringing my hands and I'm like squeezing the shit out of my hands. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it really causes a lot of angst for me just to be in the bathroom, go in the bathroom, do things. I'm very sensitive to smells. Like, it's so many things that I have to do to feel safe in a bathroom. Even I was talking to my friend yesterday and I was telling her, like, I said, you'll probably see that I don't walk around the house barefoot. And I was like, that's something new for me because the last time I remember walking barefoot is when I had my house and I sold my house in 2019. That's the last time I remember like walking around barefoot. I remember a little bit in Harrisburg doing that because I didn't wear shoes in the house. So, I remember like walking in my socks and sometimes having not having shoes on, but the floor was cold and I don't like cold floors. So I kind of stopped doing that. So that's the thing for me. I usually have socks on and house shoes. Like it is rare that you will see me just stepping on the bare floor. I'm probably not. I'm just not. I'm just not. So that's something else, right? Or it's so many things. It's a lot. It's just a lot. And I'm trying to process it and I'm trying to understand the root of what is happening because I really, really, really feel like my world is crashing in on me. I really feel like I feel like I'm in the twilight zone in some ways. Like I feel like everything that I thought was real isn't real. Like it's hard to explain. But it's a lot. It's a lot. And I've been trying to process it and not gaslight myself, to give myself not just grace but compassion. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. So I find myself these days choosing silence because I don't feel like anyone understands. I feel like the people that, this is what my therapist said to me because she asked me like how my tribe was. And I said, I haven't talked to him. I don't know. And she would kind of inquired about that, of course. And I was just like, I feel like I was given an ultimatum of either you come back to the States and we help you or you figure that shit out. And I can't go back to the States. So here I am trying to figure the shit out. But I haven't really talked to anybody. And some of that is on me because I didn't have capacity when people were trying to force themselves into me talking. But some of it is on those people that, again, I've talked about this before, that I am just not a part of people's regular everyday existence. Like, I am a person that people can feel very comfortable of not having to think of, check on, interact with every day. And it's interesting because I definitely shared that I was in crisis, but it only seems like the crisis counts if I come back to the US. So I did the part that people say, right? They're like, when you need help, ask for help. And I did. I asked for help. very clearly. I actually wrote a 5-page letter to ask for help. But I don't feel like I also should have to project manage the help. So I just kind of said to my therapist this week, I was like, if I got to do all that to get help, then I guess I just won't get help, because I shouldn't have to direct all of this. Like, I asked for help to say that I'm not able right now. And that was really all the energy that I had. My part of the deal was that I would leave Colombia so I didn't have to pay rent. I did that, but I also didn't do what the underlying vibe was come back to the States. And not just come back to the States, come back to the States and go to New Orleans. So I'm trying to figure this out, without that tribe. Which leads me to the next thing my therapist said is that I am waiting for people to come and save me from the bathroom. And the people that I think are coming are not. The people that I want to come, they're not coming. And I have to accept that. And then I have to just honor the people that are. So, like my friend here that's letting me stay with her, she came, I told her, and she was like, say less. So I have to think about those people and not the people that have said to me, we got your bag, but they don't have capacity to have my back. So I have to release those people. And I don't understand why. I definitely think I make it easy for people to feel like they don't have to actively be a part of my life. And I honestly don't know how to be any other way, because when I do say that, I need people to be actively in my life, I am made to feel that it's too much of an ask. So then I just stop asking. And that's not good, but it is how I deal with it, because that's been my life. I've always been a burden and made to know that I am a burden and an inconvenience. I'm a bill. I'm in the way. I'm a problem. Life would be easier without you. Like, I've been made to know that very clearly. So I think I have this tendency to shrink. And I feel myself doing that. And I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. But it's what happens. So all of these conversations are going on in my mind every day, and trying to let myself know that I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm cared for, I'm loved, whatever it is that my spirit is looking for at that time. Um, but I feel like I'm lying to myself. Like, I really do. I feel like I gaslight myself every day with saying these things because I know they're not true. Like, yes, I'm safe, but also my body is freaking the fuck out right now. And I can't convince myself to just ignore that or whatever. Like, I'm having a physical reaction, strong physical reactions, or to convince myself that, well, no, you're not asking for too much, when every single person in my life is not invested, equipped, able, capable, willing, whatever, to show up for me in the way that I need. So it's a lot. It's been a lot to process, and that is why I've been quiet, because how do you even explain all of this? I don't even know if I made sense in what I have shared, but I keep telling myself I have to talk, because at least then I get it out. At least there's record of it. At least I said something. So I'm talking. And I am trying to find brightness. And there are moments that I've been able to see light. They come, so it's not all dark, but I need more. I need more light, and I need something. I don't know. So a lot of the people that I follow have said things like, being on TikTok and sharing their journey has saved their life and all of that. And I'm hoping that through this, maybe something will come of it that will be a light for me as well. So those are my thoughts. And I thank you for listening and receiving and holding space for me and the things that I feel as I process all of this, because I definitely realize it's not sunshine and rainbows, but it is me. And I'm really trying to figure out who Kim is in this phase and space and part of life. So thank you for taking this journey with me.